Is that your default emotion that you want to feel good? If someone were to say to you right now, you can choose any emotion from the menu, would you choose happy or good? This is the problem. Let's say I gave you a menu of emotions and said, choose an emotion. You're not going to choose sad, who would, right? But choosing happy can be just as destructive also, because if your only desire is to be happy regardless, no matter what it takes, that's when you're going to eat the cake, because the cake will make you happy. That's when you're going to take the drugs. Drugs will make you happy. Alcohol will make you happy. Hedonism makes you happy. Going to the club makes you happy. It's all dumb shit. If you were to choose proud, or if you were to choose courageous, if you were to choose a different emotion or a different feeling inside, you would have no interest in these things. So I don't wake up and think, how do I feel happy? I don't wake up and say, will this drug make me happy? I have no interest in being happy. I wake up and say, how can I be proud of myself? What can I achieve that makes me proud of myself? How can I do things that make other people respect me and are proud of me? How do I have a day which I complete when I come home, the woman who's in my house says, wow, there's no man like you? How do I live a life so my children look at me and go, Dad's a superhero? How do I make my mother call me and say, I couldn't possibly be more proud of you? I choose proud. I don't choose happy. So if you were to say to me, this cup of juice will make you happy, I'd say, I don't want it. What do you do to make you proud of yourself, and what do you do to make others proud of you? Tell me something in the last 48 hours you've done that's worthy of pride. You slept, jerked off, talked shit on the internet, text some stupid hoes in Miami or wherever you are. Have you done anything else with your life? For me, happiness is not a good indicator on how life should be lived. You shouldn't wake up and say, how happy am I today? How does that affect how I act? That's not how I operate. I wake up and say, what must be done? What will allow me to be proud of myself? What will allow me to achieve? And those things will be done regardless of how I feel. And that's how the most successful people on earth all operate. The most successful people on earth don't only do things because they feel happy about doing them. The whole world doesn't give a fuck if men are happy or not. Nobody cares about men being happy. We talk about women being happy, and we want children to be happy. If you look at a full-grown man on Christmas morning, he's smiling because his wife is smiling. He's smiling because his children are smiling. Nobody even buys him anything. What do they buy the dad? Socks? Nobody cares about men being happy. So why do you as a man care about you being happy? That's how you're going to fall into these traps. I'm a very content person. I live a fantastic life. I'm not miserable or depressed. I'm not sad ever. But I don't wake up and go, I want to be happy today. No, sir. I wake up and say, okay, things must be done. And those things will be completed regardless of how I feel. Regardless of how I feel. You can lock me in a dungeon for an unknown amount of time in Romania, and I will still complete as many push-ups as I can possibly do in the dark by myself. What else am I going to do? Sit there and be sad? Happy or sad? The push-ups must be done. It's called duty. It's called honor. It's called pride. If you had these things, you would never do dumb shit in the first place. So I'm asking you why you don't have them. You could be a genuine force for good in the world. And you know what's funny? The funniest thing, the most ironic thing about all of this, is that if you don't prioritize happiness and you prioritize feeling proud of yourself, you end up happy by extension. I'm happy because I'm proud of myself because I have a fucking fantastic life and mansions and supercars and money, most famous man in the world, thousands of love letters a week from beautiful women, there's street credit in every single fucking city on earth. Of course I'm happy, but I didn't ever choose to try and be happy. If I would have chosen to try and be happy, I would have never ended up happy. I train every single day, and it doesn't matter how I feel. So, in fact, I would actually argue that the number one way to deal with most of life's problems is always the same thing. You were saying that people deal with things in many different ways. That is true. But in my experience of life, there's only one way to deal with anything. It doesn't matter if you're heartbroken. It doesn't matter if you're sad. It doesn't matter if your bank balance is low. It doesn't matter if you lose a family member. It doesn't matter if whatever negative things can happen to you. It doesn't matter if you go to jail. It doesn't matter what it is. The answer to everything is always the same. Do you know what that answer is?
What is the answer?
Hard work. Work harder. The worse things are, the harder I will work. Jail changed me and I had some trouble in there. I never missed a single day's training. Since I've left jail, I can't sleep. I have nightmares.
Damn.
I've been training harder than I've ever trained. I put it all over Twitter. I'm doing 6-7 hour days. I could sit around and complain about being tired. I could sit around and be a bitch. I could sit around and cry. Or I could just work harder than I've ever worked. It's fantastic that I can't sleep. It's all the time I need.
Can I ask?
So I can train endlessly. So my point is the answer is always hard work. What else is my answer going to be? I'm struggling with something. I'm going to work less. Does that make sense to you? How's that going to fix anything? The answer is always hard work. Anyone who's watching this, no matter what problem you're facing in your life, there's only one answer: work. Work harder. It's actually funny, and I've said this before, so I'm going to say it again. You can also take the antidote before the poison. If you're always working as hard as possible, it's actually very difficult for bad things to actually catch up with you. You can take the antidote before the poison. Most people don't even work very hard. You don't work hard. Not fucking at all. You don't do fucking nothing. But even the people at home, you think you work hard, you could work a lot harder. Hard work's always the answer, my friend. If someone were to say to you right now, you can choose any emotion from the menu, would you choose happy or good? Hard work's always the answer, my friend.